Hi, I'm here with Katherine Kabaso, who is a comms planner at MediaCom, and I'll be asking her a series of questions about her role in the marketing industry. So, Katherine, of course, thank you for doing this. Pleasure to be speaking with you. The first question I want to ask is, how have you got to where you are today?
How have I got to where I am? Well, I guess maybe I'll start by my background at uni. So I studied marketing comms at uni. And then after that, kind of did a few bits like the IDM qualification, and also did some internships, and kind of got my experience that way. And then kind of strayed away from marketing and went into strategy for, what was it called? I've completely forgotten. For the government, basically working for DWP. So I did a bit of strategy work there, and then came back to marketing for NCS.
Okay, nice. So you mentioned NCS. So what would you say made you pick the marketing industry? Was there any specific, or you just thought that that's where the role took you?
I think the one thing that intrigued me about the marketing industry was mostly the behavioral sciences behind it, and being able to use behavioral sciences to kind of understand the audience and kind of find kind of like loopholes into selling an idea or selling a product or selling a brand. I think that's the bit that intrigued me the most about marketing.
Okay, nice. So, Katherine, what would you say motivates you in your role every day to come into work?
Pardon?
What would you say motivates you in your role to come into work every day?
I think the thing that motivates me the most is that I genuinely enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
I think maybe if I didn't enjoy what I did, I wouldn't be as motivated as I am. So I think that's a really important aspect when you're choosing a career, is finding something that you genuinely enjoy. Because I don't think, no matter how many motivations you have, not enjoying it can probably weigh up a lot
Yeah, definitely.
on the work that you do.
I agree. So, as a comms planner, what does a day in your role typically look like?
So a day in my role probably looks like managing an account. So I work in an agency at the moment, and I manage a specific account. If we're currently running a campaign, that will look like speaking to clients and going over their objectives and looking over plans. So one of the main things that I do is kind of plan the media for different campaigns.
Yeah.
So depending on how big the campaign is, it can be one of the brand campaigns, and we could be looking at TV, radio, out of home, all of those. Or it could be a smaller campaign that just has radio, and I just kind of have to manage how that campaign is going, communicate that with the client,
Yeah.
and also speak to the implementation teams to make sure that everything's running smoothly.
Okay, nice. So, would you say that your role is somewhere you're satisfied, or do you say you have higher career aspirations?
I'd definitely say I have higher career aspirations. I think my heart is probably mostly towards strategy,
Mhm.
and I think I got a bit of a taste of that at the beginning of my career, and then came back into advertising. But working within advertising, I found that strategy is a massive part of my role anyway, especially when you're kind of like thinking of the strategy behind the media plan. And I found that that's the part that I like the most about my job. So going forwards, I think strategy would probably be something that I want to work towards, and having my role be more a strategic role
Okay.
than an implementation role.
Okay, nice. So, would you say that in your role you feel like you're making a change?
I would say yes, depending on what I'm working on.
Yeah.
So I do get instances where I get to plan stuff that I feel makes an impact to different groups of people, or I feel makes an impact to more minority groups, and pushing for diversity and inclusion, especially within advertising, and making sure that it's as inclusive as possible. I'll definitely say that advertising allows you to make a difference in that way.
Okay, nice. So before you started, would you say your role was what you expected it to be?
So before I started my role, I actually started it on rotation. So it was a program and I got to try different roles.
Okay.
But I think I would say that the current role that I'm in with the client that I have, I would say it's very much different to what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So my current client is an insurance provider, and I honestly thought that I was going to be bored to death, because how do you make insurance fun and how do you make people want to buy insurance?
Yeah.
But I've actually realized trying to sell something that people may not find as exciting is actually a lot more challenging. So it's been really fun trying to like find ways to be able to do that and to be able to humanize it in a really authentic way. But yeah, so I think, yeah, it's not what I expected, but I think it's positively unexpected.
Okay, that's a good answer. So what would you say is the biggest challenge that you had to overcome during your time?
The biggest challenge. I would say the biggest challenge I've had to overcome is my first response to brief
Yeah.
and managing a campaign from start to finish. I think that's probably been my biggest challenge at the to start with, because obviously when I had done it, it was the first time that I'd done it,
Yeah.
and you kind of don't realize how many different parts there are to responding to a brief and to making sure that your response to a client is ready. So yes, I'd say that's my biggest challenge. But I think once you've overcome that and you've had the experience of doing that, as you go along and you do more responsive briefs, the more natural it just becomes, and the easier it gets.
Okay, nice. For to finish off, what would you give advice to someone who's a young student going into the chosen organization? If they choose to be a comms planner, what would you say is the best advice you can give to them?
I think the best advice I could give is experience.
Yeah.
Just speaking on my part, I think when you study it at uni as well, you get a lot of theory, but I genuinely feel like you learn a lot by experiencing and doing and putting it into action.
Yeah.
So if you do ever get a chance to do an internship or to work part-time in a certain area, then I would definitely encourage you to do that, because it definitely helps in the long run. When you actually do apply for a permanent role, you kind of have an idea of what you're doing, and not just the theory behind what you're doing, but you kind of know how to execute the theory.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you for that bit of advice. That's a great piece of advice. And thank you, of course, for doing this interview. It was
No
a pleasure
worries.
talking to you. So I'll see you soon. Thank you, Catherine.
Speak soon. Bye.